All right. I think, in theory, you should actually be seeing us. Hi.
It's a pretty big theory.
It is a big theory because we're literally streaming over Wi-Fi, which is questionable.
Yes.
I have tested. It seems fine.
Repeatedly. Multiple tests.
All right, so we got Scarlett in chat. We got Indies Key.
Yes.
May I just say, shout out Scarlett.
Shout out
shout out to Scarlett.
We haven't
Get
even
it.
started the podcast.
With
and
the
we're
pre-podcast shout out. I'm also going to shout out Indies Keep because Indies Keep was here at 8.
It's true.
Hot diggity.
I'm not looking. I got my podcast.
So we haven't
Hi,
officially
yeah,
started
they
the
can-
podcast.
they can
is what
see
you're saying.
and
we're
hear
not
you.
officially started the podcast yet. No, okay, that's good.
So those of you,
Puppet Q Puppets. Hello, Puppet Q Puppets.
Hey,
it's a lot of puppets for one name.
it's true.
It's pretty much maximum.
Taking all the
I don't.
puppets.
I
The
don't,
Q stands for puppets.
It is silent and it stands for puppets.
What did quick puppets? Quick puppets! More puppets!
Puppets, quick puppets.
All of the puppets are mine. They're my puppets.
Speaking of drinks, yes.
Speaking of puppets,
Yeah. Also,
We-
you have a
we have a
special
guest. He's very disproving. He's been death staring the camera since I got here.
I guess, Carl, this is what it's like pre-podcast. So, yeah, those of you who are lucky enough to join us live here, hi, welcome. Those of you who are watching on the VOD, we're sitting in different positions because we had to all face like a camera, and this is my living room. This isn't a studio, so it does look a little bit hostage situation. Like it's these shadows, it's these harsh shadows because we gotta be up against the wall.
The
We are
problem
being
is
treated well by the government here.
the problem is you cannot see the beautiful Ralph Steadman print that
It's
is
true.
sitting
It's
over us.
the
You can see
Ralph
part of
Steadman.
it. It is still. It's been one of my favorite things in your abodes since you got it.
It was a birthday present from my wife.
yes.
Normally, Kevin would be sitting here, and you'd be looking at the back of my head
Yeah.
from where you're seeing things.
But I'm in my spot.
Jamie's in his spot.
Jamie is where Jamie usually is. So.
I rock the board.
So yeah, this is it. Usually I'm done this by the time we start the pre-roll. So
Yes.
It's.
we're trying to get through it.
I was wondering.
First break, we will actually take a break and
Yeah, we don't normally take an actual break, but we decided that we were going to take an actual break during the first break just to refill the drinks.
I think all the drink stuff is sitting in a place we can get at it without having to move the camera.
That's the problem. The camera is sitting in
the kitchen,
doorway.
yes.
We can't actually get into the kitchen to get. We should have brought I should have a drinks cart. Yeah, I should have like a real Noel Coward kind of, and I wear a nice sweater and. You know,
Indies Keep does have it right. I am the captain. I control who talks and who does not
it's
talk.
true.
100%.
Jamie is running the board.
I
as
have
it were.
control.
I run the live
Admiral-
stream.
That's true.
I'm Smee.
Ensign.
Yes. You're
Smee. I'm Smee.
the bosun.
Bosun is good.
Bosun Smee.
Bursar. You're the one who takes
Yes.
the money.
Yeah.
And also has to take dried frog pills.
Yeah, you know.
The Discworld OGs will know.
Yeah, it's true. All right, good. Everyone, things seem like it's working. I don't see any dropped frames.
No?
This is good.
They can hear us. They can see us.
You can hear Tell me if on chat if you need any specific person up or down, like if anybody's allowed or anybody else, because that's something we can control. But
I mean, yeah, we can totally do that.
There
if
is
we
that
need to.
that whole Motorhead theory of everything louder. than
everything louder
else.
and louder than everything else. That is literally the loudest concert I've ever been
Wait,
to with
yes.
Motorhead.
So
It was,
did Meatloaf steal that?
Yes.
Really?
Motorhead had been using that in like the early 80s, and then Bat Out of Hell 2 came out in the 90s. Yeah.
I was thinking about that album.
Fun
so-
fact, it was the first CD I bought with my own money. Was Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell 2, Back into Hell.
Shit, what was it? The Def Leppard.
Pyromania?
Was it Pyromania? It was the one after Pyromania.
Was there one after Pyromania?
Was it the one that had the skull on the cover, but it was like a woman looking in a mirror?
The
No.
one with the skull on the cover.
No, it was a woman looking in a mirror, but all the accoutrement, the curtains
That's
around it,
Hysteria.
made it look like,
Jesus, it was Hysteria.
made it look like a skull.
No, it was Hysteria. That was
The only thing I liked about Def Leppard was that one album cover.
Oh, Hysteria was an incredible album.
What has 9 arms and sucks?
Def Leppard.
Yes, you are correct.
We should
Turn
start the podcast.
Jamie down to 0.
Hey-oh.
/ ban purple cheesecake zebra.
Shout out to my Def
I
Leppard
hope
fans.
I
in the
hope
house.
Scarlett
we're doing what's the first CDs you ever bought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the history of my musical taste could actually be tracked in the first record, tape, and CD
CD.
I bought.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the first tape that I bought was Black Sabbath Paranoid.
Ooh, nice.
The first record, like piece of vinyl that I ever bought, was the single for Gary Newman, Cars.
Oh, the Two Boy Army.
And the first CD I ever bought was the best of Cab Calloway.
Wow. Okay.
Very on brand, very young.
That is an arc.
My first tape that I remember buying was ELO's Balance of Power, which featured Calling America and So Serious.
Indies
Two great
Keep
tracks.
first CD was the Bare Naked Ladies 1 Week.
It's been.
One week.
Oh no, you got
That's it. That's all I do. I give you the It's Been.
I use the I could hide out under there on people all the time, and it works a distressing amount of time.
It's true.
The Scarlet's first CD was Busted, and they stole it from their brother.
Okay.
I mean, you do what you got to do.
We got 7 people according to this number here. That's not bad.
It's terrifying.
That's pretty good.
I don't know how to take that. Hopefully, we're just minimized and people are actually just listening at this
Yes.
point.
You
They
know.
got a taste. They
Hey,
said, all right.
whatever works, man. I gotta
Yeah.
make the number go up.
I'm wearing my Commodore shirt for the record. If anybody, I don't know if it's blocked by the microphone.
Once we start the podcast, I got to call you
We're
out
actually
in
going to
the
do
intro.
a shirt check.
Okay.
Well, I got to call him out on the intro because he's trying to trigger me, I think.
No, that's fair.
Oh, all right. I think we could probably start. I think,
Okay,
Are we
well.
good? Are we good? You
Yep.
good? Everyone good?
Let's go.
We're going to be quiet for a minute,
Yeah.
and the intro is going to play. I have to work now.
Welcome to Pixels and Puppets, the Operation Puppet podcast, the only podcast to combine the subjects of gaming, tech, media, and puppets for no easily explainable reason. It is September 22nd, 2023. You are the internet. I am Kevin Blades. My pronouns are he, him, and this is episode 18 of Pixels and Puppets, the Operation Puppet podcast. Joining me are my co-hosts. Excuse me. His pronoun. I know. Hey, we're just going. It's
Just
fine.
run with it.
It's fine. His pronouns are he, him. It's Jamie, aka Scumboy.
Good evening.
And his pronouns are he, him. It's Andrew, aka Bat Phantom.
Hi, everybody.
So, those of you who are joining us live know this, and those of you who are watching on the VOD know this, but those of you who are listening to the regular podcast may not know this. We are currently live streaming.
It's true.
So, if you actually want to see what this looks like, you can go to the YouTube channel. It'll be archived automatically on YouTube. It'll also be archived on Twitch, but only for 2 weeks, then it goes away. So, it will be archived in perpetuity.
Yes,
on-
forever.
On the YouTube.
We're,
so, yeah, you could go back and...
We're being held hostage by Orlok.
It's true, and of course Count Orlok is in the foreground here. So this is it because it's a special occasion. We got stuff. So it was my birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I'm wearing my birthday suit. This is what if you're only listening
God.
to
Kevin
the
was
regular
born in this.
podcast. It's true. You miss. I actually ironed clothing.
I know.
So this is
Not me.
so, hey, any excuse to wear a tie.
That's fair.
So yeah.
Several hours ago, this was folded in a drawer. It was quite pristine. I had to break out the Fraggle Rock
James got the Fraggle. We used to do an old thing on the old podcast called
T-shirt check because we all owned a ridiculous number of very nerdy
It
shirts.
was like, what's your nerd
Cool
cred?
ass T-shirts.
So we used to talk.
I can't
about
play
our
that
t-shirts.
game anymore.
Nope.
Well, no, you now have a drip check because you go hard on the fashion. But Andrew's wearing a Commodore 64 shirt, and I believe he is calling me out because I spent my weekend at a retro computer festival.
Okay, I'm not. That's hardly a call out. I
You're-
mean, if
you're-
anything, I'm
it's a
proudly
direct
repping.
attack.
Now, I can say I owned a Commodore 64 when Commodore 64s were released, unleashed upon the populace.
I still own
So
a
I
Commodore
still-
64.
But you were barely alive when they were released. I think. Weren't
Would you like to gamble on
I
that?
thought you.
Are you
Oh,
thinking of the
no.
VIC 20?
No, I guess it was.
They're not usually this compatible.
Barely.
1982.
Okay.
And I was well alive. I
Okay,
was
fair enough.
not sentient.
Okay. But there's that.
I was 4.
I will
Okay.
defend.
But
I
I
you
was
didn't,
alive.
You didn't own one.
We owned
The
one.
family owned one.
1983. We got one, and I spent all my time playing Pac-Man on it.
Technically, I I guess it was mine and my brother's,
Yeah.
but it was mine, really. So, but
I-
anyway.
I spent last weekend at the World of Retro Computing in Kitchener, Ontario, representing my coworkers' side business, Retro Rewind. And I saw a lot of Commodore 64s. There was a Commodore 64C that we ran diagnostics on as a demo. We had a 128D, the desktop version.
I will 1,000% give you all the credit in the world. You've gone far more into the world of C64 than I ever did. My parents bought me the actual manual, like because you could get just the guide, which was thinner, and then you could get the full size programmer's manual,
basic manual.
and they bought me that, praying that I would actually do something other than play games with the Commodore. Never
Guess
happened.
what?
Yeah.
Never happened. So I feel guilty. That would be a very different direction if I had.
So I
actually
spent my
learned how to do
weekend
that.
around machines that were 35 plus years old, and then I went and saw a band that their first album came out 35 years ago.
We are so friggin'
Yesterday.
old.
So I saw Godflesh play live, and it was quite choice. Very good. It was been a very good week for old experiences in new places.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Is that a segue? Are you trying to set me up for something? Because
No.
I'm not picking up what you're laying down.
No, I was
So,
just kind of trying to wrap up my whole
I see. All
personal
right.
experience
Okay.
here.
Now, I was a TI-99 4A guy, and I wanted a C64, but I couldn't afford a C64. I ended up with a VIC-20, which was the younger sibling of the C64.
Fun fact: the VIC-20 is why the C64 is so slow on the disk drive, because they had to maintain
I feel the need
compatibility.
to apologize now.
It's your fault.
That's interesting.
Indies Keep says he wasn't alive yet, but they had a Commodore 64 and an Atari. We had a 2600. And we played a lot of Warlord because it was a 4-player paddle game.
Oh yeah.
And I played a lot of Breakout on this the 2600. And our favorite on the C64, Impossible Mission.
Oh God, yes.
Stay a while, stay forever.
Destroy him, my robots.
The actual voices. Are
It's
real.
you know what? That was a bug. They found they could modulate the noise channel on the SID chip to make it sound like words. They could take words, turn it into a sine wave,
Did that thing just speak?
and run it through the SID chip. It was a bug in the implementation of the noise channel that let them do voice samples.
That's incredible.
Nice.
I didn't
And
know
it
that.
was just people hacked it together and put it in games like Ghostbusters with the Ghostbusters.
And of course, Neuromancer.
Yes,
Terrifying.
with
Absolutely terrifying.
Some things never change.
with the Devo sample. Yeah, I spent a lot of time around old computers.
Little
And I
bit.
always get a little nostalgic.
Yeah. Try not to
Welcome
lose
to
myself into the nostalgia, but occasionally
It's like
just
you read
fall
the
into
show
it.
notes because I already put we are living on video 80s references.
There you go.
So we don't even need to change the show notes now.
That's right.
Nothing needs to be added. All right, I think that will do it for the intro.
I think so.
We're going to take an actual break, and we will be back with the Puppet Pit. Okay, for those of you who are watching live, we are going to take a break, and I'm going to put the Be Right Back screen up, and we will, in fact, be right back.
Like
with the-
just moments.
just did moments.
Don't go nowhere.
Don't go nowhere. right, we're back. Not to the actual podcast, but to the actual live stream. Hi, everybody. We are back. Look, new drinks.
Magically refilled themselves. I didn't have a time trying to eat my bean.
Eat your bean. We don't eat the beans on the podcast because you can hear the crunching. But the live. This is the bonus for the live stream. We get to hear the bean crunching.
For those of you not in Canada, we are drinking Caesars, which is a very special Canadian drink.
It's a Bloody Caesar with more personality.
Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary with more personality and clams.
And spicy beans. Historically, you just put a piece of celery in there, and somebody went, "Why are we just using celery? Can we use something more interesting? What about a spicy bean?"
Okay.
What about a spicy bean?
That's illegal.
That's the question that everybody wants to know.
The first
Shall we
person to try
descend
it was
into the puppet
executed.
pit?
I think we should probably descend
Do
into
it.
the puppet pit.
Okay.
You have entered an alternate dimension, a dimension of fleece and fur, of foam and industrial adhesives. So I hope you have good ventilation. A signpost up ahead. Watch your step. You have just stumbled into the puppet pit.
Welcome to the Puppet Pit, where we talk about the puppet side of Operation Puppet for the last 2 weeks. So it's been spooky season.
It has.
I don't know if you've heard, but
Look.
there's this thing called Halloween.
Look,
Oh.
spooky season starts October 1st.
No.
Now,
Wrong.
as a creator, I appreciate that you have to get into this at an earlier
Also,
point.
you've known me for a long time. You've been to our... Look around you.
Yeah, but
you
it's
know,
always spooky
you
season.
know what
around
we
here.
say.
Every day is Halloween.
Every day is Halloween.
You people make me sick.
Please. You're in the wrong house.
Anyway,
So, I've been focusing on doing, of course, the Halloween builds for the shop, and a very special build. Those of you who've joined us for the build streams knows all about this, or have looked at the pictures on the internet that I post from time to time, know all about the Nosferatu. So, I normally do themed smalls for the shop that are like, monsters or, something Halloween-y. But since I've been doing these human characters, the humans, as christened by Scarlett, shout out Scarlett.
Shout out
who
Scarlett.
is not only in the live stream, but also spamming links,
Yes.
as they should.
Yep.
Thank you very much. So I've been doing these new human characters, and I went, I want to do like a Halloween themed one of them. So the first one was, of course, the Frankenstein monster that we talked about a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I really liked how that turned out. I want to do more like this. So then I started like, well, what if I did a Nosferatu? And I've done a Nosferatu previously for Jamie, of course, and that one turned out quite good. But I want to do something different. Stylistically, and the nice thing about Nosferatu, of course, is that there's a lot of room to like interpret that in different ways. So I went, okay, I'm going to do another Nosferatu because Nosferatu is one of my favorite monsters anyway. So of course I'm just going to do my favorite thing. And then I wanted to do I thought, okay, so I've done a kind of round head. That's the one I did for Jamie, was like super round head. So I want to do like an egg head because of course it's Count Orlok's got this big chrome dome. So of course, so then I started going, well, hang on. I know we didn't have an egghead pattern, so we talked about me patterning up the egghead thing on the last stream. Mm-hmm. So that's what I ended up doing, and that's what has gone into the Nosferatu. But then I started going, okay, now it needs this, now it needs this, now it needs this. And I realized I was taking a long time. And normally by the time I've gone a few days into a build, I'm like, I really should be done by now. I've got to rush. And then I went, you know what? No. It's Halloween. This is going to be special. I can feel it's going to be special. It's shaping up good. For a change, I'm going to throw out my build schedule, and I'm just going to take my time and do the build.
but what's the boss going to say?
That's his
what about the
problem.
boss?
When he finds out, I'll be in trouble. But
What about your shareholders? Think about the shareholder value.
all one of them. So I just went, you know what? I'm going to take my time. Now, part of me was saying I'm going to do it right, but doing it right isn't the right way because I always make sure that it's done well. It's just I'm going to do it, doing it fast or slow. If you do it fast, then you can get it done in fewer labor hours. If you do it slow, it ends up looking higher quality, but of course it costs more because the labor hours go up. So, it's always
Unless the labor's free.
yeah, guess what? It ain't free. So That's what I want. You know what? I'm not even going to worry about it. I know there's a kind of maximum amount that I feel comfortable charging, just because my clientele, I try and cater to people who are new, who are just getting into it, who maybe don't have the budget for a really high end puppet, but I want to give them the experience of having that kind of puppet without having to spend, $1,000.
Sure.
Right. So that's my whole agenda with this. So I know there's a kind of ceiling for how much I can charge. And it's like, as long as I go, okay, I'm gonna hit that ceiling, and then however many hours I spend on this is just what I'm gonna spend on this. I'm gonna do this right. So that's what I ended up doing with the Nosferatu. And it ended up, I calculated it out at probably between 35 and 40 labor hours.
Why, that's a week of work.
It is a week. It's a week and a bit for me.
Good Lord.
So and here it is. You can see it if you're watching on the live stream or the VOD. You can see the Nosferatu right here, and it's pretty good. Now, the special thing about the Nosferatu, other than everything, is that there's a lot of 3D printing in this. The one you can't see it on the stream right now because his hands are down, but so of course, as always, the thing about all of these characters is you want to really dial in and focus on the character more than anything else. And there's always a kind of point that I hit where I'm like, I know when I've nailed it, because you look at the character and you automatically know something about them, right? You know what they sound like, or what their personality is, or what their motivation is, or just something about that character just by looking at them.
Yeah.
And I realized early on that, like, with Count Orlok, the character comes through as much in the hands as it does in the face.
The gnarled claws.
That was like my very first impression of ever seeing. I remember I was reading as a kid. I had this like book on Dracula, like the history of Dracula in the movies. And I was used to the Christopher Lee and Bela Lugosi style Dracula. And then I turned the page, and there's a still of Max Schreck from Nosferatu. I'd never seen it before, and it freaked me out. I was legit frightened. It disturbed me. Because to think of Dracula, who was supposed to be this suave, sophisticated, sexy guy, and suddenly there's this like rodent-like monster. Right, and it's the claws. It's the long.
The hands are what sells monster. He could just be disfigured in the face, but these long fingers, the long talons, it really sells monster.
So I did the thing that every puppet builder hates. I focused on the hands. It's a meme practically now among puppet builders that we all hate making hands. Hands are the worst. Just because they're very, very labor intensive, and they take a long time, and they're not particularly easy.
And nobody notices them.
And that's the thing. They kind of get lost. But there, Jamie's holding up there's a lot to those. So that's all hand stitching. There are literally 3 machine sewn stitches in this entire build. Everything is hand stitched, including every single damn finger. So what that is,
and the knuckles.
The knuckles are special. So. What I ended up doing was actually 3D printing for the hand part. I 3D printed little domes, and then also 4 fingers. Well, because it's a human character, right? So I couldn't do you
had to compromise the 3 fingers, including a thumb.
Among the my signature things is like the 2 fingers and a thumb thing. That is both stylistic and because everybody hates doing fingers. So of course I'm going to try and reduce the number of fingers, but I couldn't for this, obviously. For the human characters I can't. So you got to go with the cartoon style. And so I ended up doing the 3D printing for both the knuckles and the finger joints as well. The knuckles are just little domes, and the finger joints were actually like large sized beads with a big hole in the middle
that you can put the foam through.
But I just inserted the foam through it, and then I put the fleece over top of it and hand stitched that all up. And of course, the claws are all 3D printed.
Did you pack more fleece at the end of the fingers to make them more bulbous?
Well, that's actually the shape of the pattern
foam
itself.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was foam. I am also thinking of doing finger caps as well, because there's another problem with doing hands normally. Now, the normal way that I would do hands, I think you can probably drop the hand now. Thank you, Jamie. The normal way of doing hands that I usually do for the shop is you basically fold the fabric in half, trace the pattern, and then just run it through the machine following that pattern, and then you cut it out. All right, and then you turn it and you flip it around, and so what ends up happening is there's always a seam down the entire arm and then through both of the fingers. That's just the price that you pay for doing it fast. Now the problem with that is when you go to shove the hand insert, which is like it's two pieces of foam that they're in the right shape with some wire armature in the middle, and you glue it together, and you have the arm rod in it, and you basically just like stuff it in the skin. And the problem with that is if you don't have the wire to the very end of the finger, then the top of the finger kind of gets crushed as you're pushing it into the fleece. And so I realized as I was making the Nosferatu that, one thing I can do to solve that is to just make little finger caps that go on the end of the finger. It's like 3D print little finger caps. And then when you push it in, that finger cap will hit the wire armature that's inside, and it will retain the shape as you push it into the fleece. So again, 3D printing solves so many problems.
That's
great. There we go. That's the Nosferatu.
Use the tools.
Exactly, and that's the ears are 3D printed.
Yes,
like there are dull joints in there that you can take off that are 3D printed.
Now, did you talk to Willem Dafoe on Zoom and
I did not
get some tips?
I would think I should watch that movie again because so we're talking about Shadow the Vampire.
Yes.
Yeah, Shadow the Vampire is I have very good memories of it. I know it was a very troubled production, but I was a few sheets to the wind when I saw it.
Okay, yeah.
And I have only a very vague memory of it.
No,
now, the
it's
premise of the film is fantastic. It's a fable about the filming of Nosferatu that the premise of which is, what if Max Schreck actually was a vampire?
Right? Yes.
And that's like, and Willem Dafoe plays Max Schreck as Nosferatu. It's brilliant. And John Malkovich is the
director.
Murnau, the director.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so good. It's
Malkovich and Dafoe in a movie seems like
later.
It's really good. So anyway, there's the Nosferatu.
Indies Keep says you're welcome for the 3D printer.
I mean, Indies Keep, I can't thank you enough. And once again, it's been nothing but a boon.
So side note,
Thimble.
this is kind of a big deal.
All right.
There is a new Nosferatu film coming. From the director of The Lighthouse and The Witch and The Northman.
Okay.
So like visionary as fuck. Brilliant director. And he's doing Nosferatu coming out next year.
All right.
So that's going to be bananas.
Willem Dafoe is in The Lighthouse. Is he going to be in Nosferatu?
I doubt it. I think that would be a little too on the nose. But yeah, Robert Eggers is directing it. So it should be pretty special.
So that's kind of it for. So I'm also building a couple of smalls.
You did small outlines last build.
Yeah,
stream.
that was the last build stream, and I was always already checked out by that point because it was my birthday.
I mean, you cut out 4 foam patterns and you started on
that's
the
checked out for me.
fabric.
That's a slow day.
I mean, you got most of the work done. Next week's gonna be pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, next week should only be 2 smalls, and then that'll be it, except for one commission for the Halloween builds, and then I'm going to move on to the regular shop.
And that's it. No more puppets.
Ever again.
That's it. It's done.
Scarlett wants to know what the smalls are.
So one's going to be a bat, and the other's going to be a goblin. Probably. I haven't exactly settled on the goblin one yet, but probably a goblin.
The bat one's going to be adorable. I can
do.
tell.
This will be the 3rd bat small I've done. And
Yeah.
they always go quick. So
Bats and ghosts, I think, are so easy for smalls.
honestly, well, bats aren't easy.
No, I mean, but
because bats
for making them adorable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The ghosts are the absolute easiest. There's nothing to a ghost.
Yeah.
So.
Crank those
The
out.
little hands that you do with like the
Yeah.
wisp at the end, I just love.
So that's kind of it for the puppet stuff. So as always, join the Discord. The links are in the show notes. You can buy us
There's a Discord?
coffee.
There'll probably be links in the live stream.
And Scarlett is spamming links constantly. So yeah, I don't have any work to do.
For the record, I don't know if you've mentioned it specifically, but Nosferatu here is not going on the shop. Or is
Nosferatu is going on the shop. Actually.
bidding starts live right now. Bidding starts at $10,000.
Yeah, sure. Okay, go ahead. Now, Nosferatu is not listed yet, but Nosferatu will be listed on both the direct shop and the Etsy store.
So I wasn't sure if he was a
Hit up the direct
foster
shop.
fail or if
Nope.
this bad boy's going up.
Nope, that's going up. For
Robert
sale.
Eggers, please contact.
I gotta get
Kevin.
I gotta get a few bucks for my week of work.
Get Willem Dafoe on. I'm
Okay.
sure he'd buy it.
Do you know? I play the guessing game. Can you guess who's going to play Count Orloff in the new film? It's Bill Skarsgård.
I mean, that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah,
He plays all the.
Do I know
creepy
who
things.
that is?
He was Pennywise in the new It.
Yeah.
He's
Right. Okay.
he's
yeah,
one
I
of the-
know.
He's a great actor.
he's very physical. He's what's the name of the guy who played Abe Sapien?
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones,
So
yeah.
he's like a more action oriented Doug Jones.
Yeah,
like
gotcha.
he's a lot more. He's very physical, and he seems to be a very good physical actor. And I think that would lend well to Orlok because that's all Max Schreck had was gestures, really.
Should be great.
And title cards. Are they doing it as a silent film?
I doubt it, but that would be amazing.
I mean,
I don't
if-
think anybody would front a.
He wouldn't. Yeah, nobody would
Sound
give him.
film
money
today.
for
If
it.
if they brought back title cards, I would go to a theater to see that.
All right. Do we need an actual break, or do we want to?
Yeah, I can tear through.
I'm good continuing
Keep
on, but
going?
we've got to supply our audio listeners with the interstitial.
All right,
bits.
audio listeners, we're going to quote unquote take a break, and we will be back with Gizmo Town.
The sky above the port was the color of a YouTube video hit with a copyright takedown. Around the rainy streets, people huddled with neon umbrellas and impractical goggles. Here we fight the corporate arcologies and get excited about phones. Welcome to the mean streets of Gizmo Town.
Still my favorite intro.
It's Shenzhen, just for the record. Gizmo Town is Shenzhen.
Yeah, or Night
China.
City, Chiba.
Chiba City. Chiba City Blues, the very first chapter
of Neuromancer. I'm gonna reread it. I gotta reread it.
Yeah, welcome to Gizmo Town, where we talk about all the tech stuff. Starting, of course, as always, with the Deck Nook. Didn't know there was going to be a Deck Nook this week, but
The
of
Deck
course,
Nook. So Valve provides. Valve wants to keep us in the Deck Nook.
ask and you shall receive.
Keep the conversation going.
So the lead developer of the Steam Deck project, the person who maintains the OS and oversees the whole project, went on CNET, and I think there was another interview he did, and he spoke out both interviews saying that there will be no hardware refresh for the Steam Deck for a couple of years.
Yeah, that was surprising, honestly. But they just to come out right out and say it. That was
they're
it.
keeping an eye on technology, and if something amazing happens, I guess they will look at that sea change when it happens. But currently, the way things are going, they don't see there being a significant hardware bump to warrant moving the target. Because he says they want to provide a hard target for developers to be able to supply mobile.
They listen to the
gamings.
podcast.
They do.
You probably do.
You've
yeah.
been saying this
Sure.
for ages.
When it first came out, that was the biggest thing that I focused on was the fact that it's a hard target.
But they've said, so by that interview, 2025, maybe 2026, before there's a Steam
And you know
Deck
what?
2.
Honestly, it makes a lot of sense. And also, I think they understand that they are in a position to be able to make that choice.
Yes,
right? Because
absolutely.
they are like the industry leader for this. They can go, okay, we're going to establish the base, right? And then when it makes sense, move it.
I'm a little surprised they're not in retail channels yet.
That is kind of odd.
I figure because they're obviously at the point now where they can make actual good numbers of units and put them on shelves if they really want to, but obviously they're moving product out of their own warehouse.
the thing is, most people shop online now.
Sure, I mean, yeah, if you're gonna just get it from Amazon anyway, you fucking might as well get it from Valve.
And they said that the current chipsets that are out are a not very significant bump in speed
Right.
at a definite cost in battery.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So-
and that's absolutely true.
And they're really looking for that battery to performance balance.
And we've talked about that before. How it really is a battery game at this
Absolutely.
point. They can absolutely make a chip that's faster and more and does more, but it's a matter of how much juice it's going to eat.
Yeah.
And until battery technology makes a huge leap, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So,
there's a couple of things that are on the horizon battery wise that are exciting. There's a water based battery system that basically there's no acids or heavy metals involved, but they don't have any sort of capacity or pipeline for mass production yet. So
It comes from the pineal gland of a puppy.
Yes.
That's the problem. They have to harvest it from puppies, and people are like, "Oh man,
We can make them. It's just an ethical question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
We're gonna get Elon to do it.
it's actually they have to use Neuralink monkeys.
exactly. It comes
Every monkey comes with a free
the moment they
Steam Deck.
die, they have to harvest the gland immediately to get the
Do you mean it
battery
comes with
power.
the Steam Deck? No, it is the Steam Deck.
Oh God, yeah,
It's warm
Jesus.
and fuzzy.
It's
Oh,
but it's
I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
actually
sorry you had to be here for this.
It's actually a good thing though that they've at least publicly kind of laid it out now. They're not we don't have
said-
to speculate about a theoretical refresh next year.
They've said a couple times that they aren't looking at it, but saying a couple of years, like yesterday,
Yeah.
it kind of puts some weight on it.
Yeah, the comparison was to the Switch 2, which is in the pipeline for next holiday season, basically. And so they're basically positioning it that it won't come out until after the Switch 2 comes out, which is a
Right.
perfectly reasonable length of time. And I mean, I haven't seen any hard numbers on how many they've sold, but Lord knows they're out there.
I wasn't horribly worried about a Steam Deck refresh. It's just nice to know it's not going to be like you bought it and then a year later.
The catch now is that they keep doing these sales. Like they just finished one, I think, where they have. If you haven't bought a Steam Deck yet, wait for Valve to put them on sale because they put it's a
Because this was
deep
the
disc.
this
it's-
was the 20th anniversary.
well, I
of
mean,
Valve,
it
but-
was up
10
to 20% off,
yeah, it was
10% off the base model, 15 the middle, and 20 the top.
Yeah, and which is that's a fair
in line,
amount.
that's in line with what they've done in the fall sale when
Yeah.
they put it on.
So they've basically established that they will go on sale if
Yep.
you can wait. So when they go on sale, you grab one, and it's not
Welcome
likely
to
to go.
Steam, though, right?
Yeah, well,
Like-
it's not likely to have a deep discount anytime soon because they're moving product. People want them and they buy them, and you can mod them. I mean, if you want to make it a more battery draining experience and throw a 1080p OLED screen into it, you can do that and spend the money. They're happy to let you do that. So it's pretty incredible.
In Fucktendo news, Scarlett likes the Wii.
Well, you know. The Wii was fun for what it
The
was.
Wii can easily be emulated on a Steam Deck. Now the controllers are a different.
You
conversation.
can pair Switch controllers with it and use that for Wii.
Really?
Yep, and they even do the gyro.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I mean, because the Steam Deck's got a gyro, but it's not.
I mean, it's the whole unit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like
One big
individual, but you can
gyro.
pair left and right Joy-Cons with the Steam Deck
Did not know that.
and do the gyro on them.
Good to know.
The balance board was a genius move,
Was.
Scarlett says.
I
So
don't think I had the balance. Oh wait, maybe I did. That was the thing for Wii Fit, right?
yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, I did have one.
That was a bold move on Nintendo's part, and it was a big success. They didn't do anything with it afterwards. That was a little disappointing that they kind of abandoned it as a platform. But
Did
not saying they
a
had to come up.
Tony Hawk game use it?
No, they had their own skateboard for one of
Well,
those.
it was for the PS3 and the Xbox. I wonder for the Wii if they used the balance board for it.
Maybe I don't think
No,
so.
we should've. Okay, moving on. Lenovo Legion Go
So I, in looking for content today,
content.
I looked it up, and they have officially put a price tag on the
Z1
Legion
Extreme?
Go. So on Best Buy's website, Best Buy Canada, so it automatically directed there. 8.8 inch, 1600p touch gaming console, Ryzen Z1 Extreme. 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gig SSD, Windows 11, and Xbox Game Pass. Not sure if that means that it supports
comes
it.
with
It probably
a
comes
month
with the
or something
sampler,
like that,
and it says exclusive retail partners. So guesses on what the cost is. Oh, I put it on the notes already. It's $949 Canadian dollars
Coming
for
in
this
just
model.
under the grand.
Now that 512, I believe, was the low. Well, I don't remember if there was a 256 mentioned in the press release or
And
not.
it's 512 and a terabyte for
But yeah,
sure.
so yeah, and I think
It's not
there's
even
even a
top
2,
storage.
but and it does also support a memory card as well, so it should be very similar in that respect. And on top of that, they also say on the website that pre-orders start on October 1st. So if you want to be like Kevin and be an early adopter, October 1st.
I had my
you can-
taste. I'm good.
It doesn't say when they ship, but the pre-orders start on October 1st. So will Andrew get one? Maybe.
Your turn.
Yeah, exactly. It's my
Only
turn.
if you can guarantee me you'll play it more than the Steam Deck.
I promise nothing.
Um,
But yeah,
Matt
that would be
Andrew,
that would be something. I do love that 8.8 inch display, though. I mean, like the one good thing you were saying about the ROG Ally was that beautiful screen it had.
Speaking of the ROG Ally, I guess they've started selling the non-Z1 Extreme version.
Yes, I've seen a lot of benchmarking.
$599 USD.
So it's $100 less for a fair amount less performance.
The only time it makes sense is emulation most of the time, or if you're doing like light indie fare. I watched the Retro Game Core video on it, and like if you really love 30 frames a second, I guess go for that. I mean, for $100, it doesn't make any sense not going for the Z1 Extreme.
I love that his use case for it, though. It's his PC.
Yeah, he hooks it up to the external.
Yeah, he doesn't have
card.
a computer. He uses his ROG Ally as his main computer, which is great. I mean, it's great that you can do that. And again, it also has an external graphics card that you can use with it as well. So, but it's at that price point, you're saving 20%, if that, and you're crippling yourself for the future.
But it might not cook the SD card. The chip might not get hot enough to cook the SD card.
But it still seems silly to save. If you're looking to scrape the ducats together,
listen,
it's
as we've said,
save
you
more
can't
ducats.
guess someone's use case.
No, I know. It just seemed it's odd. I mean, if it was $200 less, then I'd absolutely.
But the other thing is, no one's going to use it as a target because there's multiple actual physical processor units in it. So
and it's a Windows platform.
Everyone's going to aim at the Steam Deck, saying we want to make sure the Steam Deck gets 30. Yeah. And because they can guarantee this across the entire install base of Steam Deck.
Yeah. Which is why I think it's smart that Valve
absolutely.
is going, this is it for a while. So.
But as I say, like the Legion Go, it's the same hardware, the same chip that's in there. So I don't know I don't think anything else is different other than the display. But it's really just, again, you're going to be tethered. If you want to play Starfield on it at a reasonable frame rate, you're going to plug that thing in, and you're not going to have it for walking around.
Scarlett wants to know, what if they want roast SD card for Christmas? I say, you're in England. It'll be boiled. It'll be boiled SD card
with a mint jelly.
Yeah, exactly.
But there are there's plenty of great recipes online for broiled SD card. You don't need to cook it in a ROG Ally.
No, you can do a toaster oven.
All right, I don't even know if this next thing is even worth talking about, but I put it in the show notes anyway because it's in tech and it was happened this week. You know, Microsoft and Google are hell bent on shoving AI into every possible crevice they can find.
You gotta wonder if it's just,
what even is it gonna do? That's my question.
Is this something that was put into motion a year ago or like several months ago, and it was gonna take a while anyway, and now they kind of have to release it?
It feels very much like this was in our budgetary projections.
Yeah,
so
like we have to say something.
Google was on the back foot for AI, and when everyone assumed that they would have had the secret extra special bonus model, and then they're like, oh shit, we got nothing. We got to make Bard. So
make Bard is going to be a colloquialism for something.
It's
they wanted Bard and they got Bart.
They've got to justify. They've got to go up against everyone else because everyone's trying to cram ChatGPT into everything.
It is just the gold rush thing now, right? Like, there's no like thought about what is this actually going to do. It's just, oh, we've got AI, we've got machine learning. To do what? What exactly?
To boost shareholder value, of course.
You're not wrong. That's probably exactly what it is.
They said AI. I'm going to keep investing in Microsoft and or Google. Did you say it was both of them?
Yeah, Google said they're shoving AI stuff into YouTube, particularly. Hey, hooray!
Yeah, like that's not already run by algorithm.
Really, really happy about that. All the AI stuff is great.
What if YouTube could make its own content for you, the viewer?
That's kind of what they're doing. That's like, it's
just, what if it? So I mean, on the evil side, it's obviously in the agreements that by uploading anything to YouTube can do whatever the fuck they want with it. So if they want to feed every single ounce of data that people push into it every single day and push it into the AI machine, they absolutely can do that.
I have a fun related story.
Oh, Jesus.
I didn't even put this in the show notes. So Of course, Facebook is also on this fever dream as well. Fever dream is a really good way of describing all the AI stuff because it all basically is a fever dream, both in product and service. But so Facebook wants to do all this AI stuff as well, and they had what appeared to be a form that you could fill out. It was said on socials as, oh, this is an opt-out thing, right? You have to opt out. If you are an artist, then you have to opt out to not have your art included in their AI training.
So this is different from that thing where you could, like a couple of years ago, where people were posting their status as like, I do not authorize the use of blah blah blah.
Yeah,
blah.
I know it turned out to be not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this actually existed as in, well, it wasn't a button to say I opt out. It was literally a form you had to fill out.
Sure.
But I went, you know what? Yeah, sure, I'll follow that. So I went to the thing, I filled out the form, and so it doesn't go, okay, you won't be included. It goes, we'll review this and let you know. Okay, so
Your opinion has been noted.
and I got a few days went by, and then I got another email saying, no, we're gonna, the only thing you are allowed to say do not include is personal information, like your name and your address and your phone number.
Wow.
Anything else you post on Facebook,
Nah, it's game.
it's theirs.
It's game.
Hey, you know
Yeah.
what else is ingesting large amounts of whatever you put out there and throwing it into AI? Zoom. Zoom
Oh,
feeds
now-
video streams
They-
back into their AI.
No, this came up a couple months ago, and I thought they backed out of that
They are still pushing stuff back into their.
because that was a massive issue at the school because they were streaming classes at the for the master's program, and it suggested Zoom's like, yeah, we can do whatever we want with that. It's just absolutely fucking not.
Here's me introduce you to the concept, all you AI assholes. Consent.
Yeah.
Consent is a thing that exists. Could we have to go over this again?
Yeah. No,
It's not surprising that venture capitalists from fucking Silicon Valley don't wrap their heads around consent. I'm
can't
sorry.
make money off consent.
I get angry about this.
Yeah,
It's
you
it's
gotta
a
be
time.
careful. You gotta be careful.
It's
So,
a time.
yeah, I've seen some other artists, particularly in the Fediverse, who are going, you know what? I'm not posting anything on Facebook anymore, just because
trust it.
they've told us straight up they're going to use this for AI training, and I'm like, I know, I don't, I tried to go down the I'm done with corporate social media stuff, and it just bit me in the ass. So I kind of have to keep on it, but I'm selling my soul to the devil, and I know that, and that's the thing. It's just knowing it and still going, well, I have no other choice. Right? That's,
Well, I mean, George Martin and a couple of other authors are suing OpenAI, I think, for scraping their works without permission, and it's great. It's good that they're finally
Stephen
people with
Fry
money.
had his reading of the Harry Potter books used as a AI trainer.
Because it's a fun tool. It's like, we're just showing that the tech is possible, Mr. Fry. Don't you love being a part of the future?
by the way,
Jesus.
there's a fun story because the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike is happening. There was a protest picket line today in front of Paramount Studios of all of the both guild and non-guild puppeteers, and including my friend and client Sarah Berman, who brought Millie, a puppet that I built.
Oh my God.
To the protest, and there are photographs on Swazzle's Instagram.
That's
of that.
fantastic.
So there we
That's
go.
amazing.
We had Operation Puppet representation at one of the protests.
fantastic.
Solidarity.
Yep. Good on you. Okay.
Anyway, fuck AI, fuck
AI.
ChatGPT,
Exactly.
fuck them all.
Consent. Let's talk about
Yeah.
consent, shall we? All right.
Fuck the movie studios.
Exactly. Is that it? Have we done the Gizmo? That was a very fast Gizmo Town. I'm realizing
No sense in getting into the Apple stuff. Apple had their little thing last week.
well, that's so yeah. As we alluded to last time, new phones, and I did in fact order a new phone, so it will be here in like a few weeks.
Did
So
you get the one with the actual worth using USB in it?
Oh yeah, of course. No, I
Because-
always get. So if I'm gonna spend stupid amounts of money on a phone, I'm spending stupid amounts of money on the best phone.
The
So-
thing that breaks me is that Lightning as a specification had a hard limit of 480 megabits a second, USB 2, as a spec. So Apple has been building into every one of their own silicon USB 2 as the top end.
Oh my
That's as fast as you can transfer. So you get one of the, what is it, the 14s with
15's the new
USB-C?
one.
15.
The 15 with USB-C, but it's not the super high-end one.
The Pro or Pro Max.
You get 480 megabits a second max transfer on USB-C.
That's amazing.
You have to go to the new chip in the Pro and Max to get the proper 10 gigabits a second transfer.
Slight improvement.
Just a tiny bit. It kills me that that's how they drafted the spec was, 480. It's like saying 640K of memory is more than anyone will ever need.
Exactly.
20 years after the PC coming out, say that.
It was such a weird hobbling of their.
It was like a fuck you to
they were
you're
fighting-
making us use USB-C. Fine, we're going to use the shitty one. How about that?
This is how Lightning is.
Yeah.
It's not even like we're using shitty USB-C. It's we're going to apply shitty Lightning limitations to USB-C.
Yeah.
They were fighting tooth and nail to keep their shit standard that had crap data transfer built into it. And I don't get it. I don't get why they I know why they did it, because it makes them billions in cable sales.
The cruelty is the point.
They've got warehouses full of those things.
But I thought, oh, they'll go to USB-C and all of a sudden they'll be able to no, it's built into the chips at USB 2 speeds.
Incredible.
It's like nothing's gonna change.
Yeah. Unless you pay $1,500 for your new phone.
Well, the only thing that most of the people care about is that they only need one charger for a whole bunch of things. Now,
it's true.
That is the thing.
But if you're shooting any sort of video on your phone and you don't want to have to transfer it off,
I guarantee if you're shooting video on your phone, you're getting one of the Pro models.
more than likely.
no question.
It's such a ridiculous limitation.
Oh no, I agree. I'm not. Believe me, I'm not defending Apple. I just we're gonna get into it at some point. I'm gonna state right now we are banning all Apple versus Android or iOS versus Android talk on this podcast. That is a battle that has been lost forever, for years. There is no point. No one is ever going to be converted. It doesn't matter what points come up. Those you like what you like. It's all Kool-Aid. It's just different flavors of Kool-Aid. So you just.
But the new phones aren't exactly a paradigm shift. They're just
No. They're just
another
a bump.
incremental
Now,
improvement.
the reason I went for this one, A, is because it's got USB-C, and B, because I skipped a whole generation, and that is unusual for me. This phone right here, this is a 13.
Mine's a 13 too, but it's work.
Yeah. So it's fine. It's good. No, don't be that. Margaret's inheriting that, so please keep it.
hand me down.
Before we exit Gizmo Town,
Yeah.
Scarlett has a podcast question.
Oh.
Why does turning a computer off and on again make things work? And speaking as someone who has worked in IT for decades,
Magic, right? It's
when you
magic.
leave a computer on for a long period of time, it keeps all its states in memory, and it slowly uses up the memory.
This isn't a bit. He's actually giving an answer.
Computers, when they run out of memory, start writing it to a cache on the hard drive. And hard drive cache is slow as balls. So when you access one of those things that was in memory that got written to the cache, it takes forever to go to the cache, find it, and then bring it back and put it into memory. So the longer your computer is on, the slower it seems to get because more stuff gets pushed into the cache. When you shut a computer down, it writes everything to disk, everything that's been in memory, cleans it out, turns it off, and when you come back on, you are now back with barely anything in RAM. So it starts building everything up, and everything's nice and speedy.
This is known colloquially as cruft.
So every help desk call I get, it's, have you tried rebooting your computer? Yeah. Because people that I work with think 7 months of uptime on their laptop is a good thing.
It's a
And it's
win.
not Linux. So.
So no, rebooting your computer, writes stuff to hard drive, clears out the RAM, and refreshes everything when it loads. So that's why it seems like it fixes things. Also, a lot of times updates get slipstreamed in while you're running, and until you reboot, your computer's in a state where some things are updated, some things aren't, and that's when if you have problems printing and you reboot and it works, it's because an update has come down and it breaks printing, which is one of the most frequent signifiers of an update being applied but not actually finalized. Then when you reboot, it applies the update, and then the print server comes back online. Every computer has a local running print server, and that's what crashes.
If anything ever seems like things are getting pokey on the system, just do a quick reboot.
Give her a reboot.
Wow, that was actual tech support on Gizmo Town. Well done. Thank you, Scarlett, for the question.
Yes.
Thank you, JD, for the extremely recondite answer.
No worries.
Well done. All right, well, that will do it for Gizmo Town. We are going to take an actual break as I'm out of drink, and I need more drink. So we're going to take a quick break. If you're on the live stream, stay tuned because we will actually do the screen thing. And we will be back with pixels and tokens. As Andrew gets seated here we go. Hey. Okay. Get all of the unfortunate noises out of your system before you start recording again.
We're live though, right?
Well, we're so live.
Yeah.
We're unbelievably live. If the mics are hot, we're live.
Hi, everybody. I'm old.
Welcome to this.
Old, overweight. Everything's fine. Everything is fine.
Eat your bean.
Oh
yeah, you got the
Bean
down range.
Before recording.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's the brand of these?
Beans before heens.
Extreme bean. These are the most.
Matt and somebody's extreme bean.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never noticed the full
Do you want
name.
to go get the bottle?
No.
Okay. Beans before heens.
What? You try to come up with a bros before.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Word.
Now you know what goes on between
That's right. This is pretty much par for the course.
This is it.
I'm gonna get my arm between both mic stands,
All right,
and I'm gonna.
You ready? Your old pose.
I'm ready.
Every
I'm gonna
finger
fire it off.
possible.
Yep.
Okay. I'm ready.
Do it.
I'm ready when you are.
So we are going to go to Pixels and Tokens.
Video games.
Board games.
Video games.
Tabletop role-playing games.
Video games.
And now for Pixels and Tokens, where we talk about all kinds of gaming.
But mostly video games.
Welcome to Pickles and Tokens, where we talk about gaming.
And we do the dance. We do the dance every time.
There is a dance, and those of you who are with us live have now seen the dance.
That's it, the dance.
This is also a very special Pixels and Tokens.
It is a very special Pixels and Tokens. For the same reason I'm thinking.
Yes, I think so.
This will be the wrap up of our top 5. This will be it.
It's amazing. I thought that this would take a lot longer to go through, but we've really churned out.
Well, there's only 5 each. So
I mean,
it
still.
be a maximum of 15, and we're on episode 18. So you know,
I thought there'd
think
be
we skipped, like,
I thought there'd be
one.
like some overlap. You know,
Yeah.
we had
Oh,
talked
right,
about
yeah,
if
yeah.
there was overlap.
That's
then-
right. Yeah. Well, Kevin's number 1 is Fortnite. So
oh, definitely, no question.
big Fortnite player.
Before we get to that, though,
Yes.
so there's some more. Speaking of Microsoft, it leaked.
Yes.
Now, as far as we know, those leaks have now been partially debunked, or at least minimized.
So during the FTC case about Microsoft buying Activision, Microsoft was supposed to supply a bunch of email content for Discovery, and they put it in the public bin instead of the for lawyers and judges bin.
As you do.
So it was a mistake on their part, and it leaked a bunch of year-old gaming plans.
Multi-year, like from
Well, I mean,
like
it,
2020.
from at minimum a year old, and maximum it could be into the 2019s. About the 2028 replacement or update to the Series X, the cylindrical refresh in 2024,
And they're all digital, right?
yeah, the all digital cylindrical refresh for the Series X, the possible purchase of Nintendo. I
The
don't
theoretical purchase.
I don't think
They
were.
they wanted to.
I don't think they were strictly saying purchase Nintendo. They were just saying Nintendo not on their hardware, because I think they've been trying to push Game Pass for Nintendo
I would
for
imagine
a while.
they very much were at some point trying to convince Nintendo, look, guys, just get out of the hardware market. Just make
and-
us games.
yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do this. Let's make this happen. And
But-
Nintendo every time goes, no, thank you, we're good. But they, I'm sure that was probably what the internal
I mean, the
communications were
Switch
referring
is
to.
the best-selling console. Like it by a wide margin. Like, of course, they're not going to get out of that.
Not
Are you
likely.
kidding me?
But they have to at least ask.
Yeah,
Sega certainly got out of the game.
true.
That was, and that's always been the benchmark for that. The fact that they convinced Sega to stop making hardware was a big reason why they are where they are.
So I think the hardware leaks are probably true. Or at least some version of those are going to.
Phil Spencer sent a memo out saying that a lot of this is old, and most of it has changed radically
Yeah.
Okay.
since the emails that were submitted. So it's a snapshot at a point in time, but it's not where these plans are at now.
Because everybody was convinced they were going to have that streaming Xbox by now. Like if that should have come out like a year or two ago.
But they shelved it
And
because I
they
don't think they were getting what they wanted out of the hardware.
Yeah,
It wasn't
So,
where
and this is the same thing.
Yeah.
Like the cylindrical Series S refresh. I don't know if that's real.
I don't think
Or,
that's-
again. I'm sure that they were working that internally
Yep.
and said, "Is this a good idea? Can we make this work?" And I don't think anybody was.
I think
expecting that to
the
be
2
real.
terabyte S version they put out was what they ended up deciding
Right,
on instead
yeah,
of
yeah.
cylindrical.
Sure.
There was a new controller as well.
Yeah, there was a 2-tone controller with the 2028 Xbox, or the cylindrical Xbox, 2024 Xbox. which it's basically a Series X controller, but it's got a hard two-tone plastic. Like the actual grips are more shiny and the top is more matte. I'm not sure.
So again, not a paradigm shift.
Oh, it was supposed to have gyroscopics in it.
Yeah, that's not something that I.
So you
think
could aim
developers-
grenades in Uncharted.
not a piece of not a technology they were going to start implementing. But more of a look what we can do. If they even were going to do it at all.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
we'll see.
they've said it's a snapshot of where their team was at years ago, like a year to multiple years ago. But it's what they're working on has been pivoted from there.
Yeah.
So,
But
It was huge. That was the thing, though. Was all of these documents just
Yeah.
kind of went.
the good
bleh.
news is this gave lots of content for the creators online and for the
people who-
YouTubers and
people
the
who bait
speculators.
clicks.
Exactly.
exactly.
Just a cornucopia.
Shock
of-
guy
of
thumbnails
hard
as far
clicks.
as the eye can see.
Just-
You won't believe what Microsoft is planning.
Phil Spencer
Part
wants to
17.
kill Doug Bowser.
So,
pretty much.
as well as leaking, Microsoft is in all likelihood buying. UK regulators have declared provisional approval finally for the acquisition of the Activision
So,
Blizzard purchase.
Something about giving
months after the EU said, "Yeah, it's okay with us," and the UK is going, "We said we weren't cool with this, right? We said we weren't cool with
guys.
but streaming, but the streaming, but
Well, that
streaming.
that would seem to be the focus. Is that I guess they're giving the streaming to Ubisoft for some reason.
Yeah,
a
dude.
very weird hill for them. The UK was all like, "But you control the streaming," and they're like, "We don't control the content of it. Anyone can
Yeah.
play whatever they want."
So I guess like cloud gaming, I assume.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they're
it was
like,
the-
all
it was
right,
the
fine.
cloud
If you're in the
gaming
UK, you can run Ubi Plus and stream content.
Yeah, they made some weird,
Yeah.
weird, complicated deal with Ubisoft
And
to
And I'm sure the UK went, thank you.
Scarlett's
was it.
posting clickbait in the chat.
oh no.
Kevin did what on the Discord? And a link to the Discord. The
Not
UK is
wrong.
perfect, Scarlett says.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally fine.
They haven't done
Everything's great.
anything wrong. Their current prime minister is a fine, upstanding gentleman.
Solid,
Yep.
solid
Salt
leader.
of the earth. Supporter of human rights.
So it looks like even the FTC doesn't really have anything in appeals that are
No,
substantial.
it's happening.
Yeah, it'll happen.
So, I mean, I hope it makes things better for the people at Activision, and that is my upside on it.
Yeah.
Purchasing this makes them a monopoly.
Yeah.
I hope it does not end up with any sort of predatory practices, but if at minimum it gets people at Activision a safer workplace, then I think it's a win.
As a side note, I noticed that my beloved Yakuza franchise, which is now called Like a Dragon, which is actually what it was called in Japan, they have 2 new titles coming out, and they announced that the Like a Dragon side story, The Man with No Name, is going to be on Game Pass, which is a huge deal. Like
Wow.
a full Yakuza game is going to be
Like day one
exclusive to
Game Pass?
Day one Game Pass.
Wow.
I don't know if it's available on PlayStation as well, or I think it's just on Xbox because there was a story I was reading about the insane exclusivity issues with that series because of Sony had exclusivity for a
Yep.
very long time with it, and then somehow Like a Dragon became a launch title for Xbox, but not on PlayStation in Japan because the deal only involved Japan, so the rest of the world it was on one console. It was a mess. But the one focusing on Kiryu is going to be on Game Pass, but the Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which is the direct sequel to the Like a Dragon game, which is the crazy fun one that everybody really enjoyed, that is not going to be on Game Pass. It's going to be available for purchase on all consoles. But that one looks bananas. They just released an extended gameplay trailer for that, and it looks completely unhinged.
So I apologize, Kevin. This is in the show notes, but we need to talk about this.
All right. What is what?
Diablo 4.
I'm going to go.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. All right.
We
sure.
were having problems with Destiny one day, and Andrew's like, "Let's fire up Diablo 4," and I'm like, "Why?" Like I am
That was his actual question.
I am done the battle pass. What like getting to 100?
Did you
gets
buy the battle pass?
I ended up buying.
Oh, okay. So when you say you did it, you actually
I'm
got all the
100%.
stuff.
I'm 100. I've harvested everything
Okay.
from it.
Same.
And getting to 100, I don't get anything from that. Like there's no.
Well, the cosmetics you got. Oh, you mean to 100? Yeah.
Yeah. But
So just for the record, just for the listeners, so they have the battle pass, which it has a different speed that you go through it. It's not linked to your actual account level, your character's level. You tear through the battle pass much quicker than that. So everybody finished the battle pass within like 2 or 3 weeks of the game coming out. It didn't take very long, and the rewards for the premium battle pass, there was a bunch of cosmetics, armor and outfits and emotes and things like that, which I guess continue on. You can bring those into your character moving forward.
Yes.
But if you didn't, because I didn't bother buying it, and you got nothing permanent, and then even the levels like Diablo 3. You at least got a pet if you completed,
or cosmetics, wings,
right? Something
like nothing
interesting
to chase,
yeah, and something that you could bring into your character moving forward.
The final tier, it's a random legendary, and that's it. Like there's no pet, there's no wings.
There's 2 titles you can give yourself, like a first word and second word, or whatever.
That's it.
And
the only
that's the only
confirmed
unique thing. Big deal.
So there's no hook.
Yeah.
Like Diablo 3, the season, there was a definite hook. You were trying to build a new set. There were sets. There were.
For me, at least,
it augmented the gameplay significantly.
That is the real crux of it is the sets. The fact that there were a multitude of builds that you could work towards. With Diablo 4, there's like 2 or 3 builds, and it's a pain
in the ass to respec unless you complete the last named tier, and then you get the reset scroll, and then you can do one other build, and that's it.
And that Paragon card system is nuts.
It's great for flexibility. Like you can really build crazy shit.
True.
But it is literally billions of gold to reset one node at a time.
And it's incredibly difficult to follow, even if you're just following a build pattern.
Absolutely.
It's extremely complex.
It's so odd. Like it had its hooks in me for a few weeks and then just fell off a cliff. Just like nope. I did the same thing. The other day I went, I'm kind of bored of everything I've been doing. Let's look at this. I looked at it. Well, it's this again.
We logged in, and I'm just like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Like where?
I still had a few other things that I could do, but like you said, there was no reward for moving forward other than just playing the game.
Yeah.
And as much as I'd like to believe that that's your reward for playing, it's just not satisfying.
The whole thing about Diablo has always been carrot and stick, right? And it's always been really good with the balance of carrot and stick. This is just there isn't much stick, but there's also no carrot.
Yeah.
Like it's just nothing.
And this is season 1. They've got time, but
I hope they pull it out. But they really need to look at Diablo, because Diablo 3 has got a ton more players in it right now, and it is higher than Diablo 4 on Twitch.
It is by a huge margin. And it's crazy that people are actively playing the old game.
Which is basically in life support season mode. It's just rotating previous seasons.
Yeah, and there's a new season of Diablo 4 coming soon.
October something.
Yeah,
October.
and it's a vampire story, and I'm sure it'll be fun. But if it's the same amount of story as this one had, be able to tear through the whole thing in a couple of days.
Weeks,
if that.
These things had to get planned so far ahead of time. I'll bet you it'll be pretty much exactly the same.
They need to do a major patch and make it so you can respec. And think of some way of making a set that augments your build in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
Because right now you're just looking for one legendary that gives you this affix that affects this thing, and then you're just trying to find the best version of that.
Yeah.
You're not trying to get a full set of this. Or there was that something of Dreams build where you had no sets.
Yeah.
You could have like
There
a
were
piece
two
of
rings.
this.
There were 2 rings.
And then you could build this build with just random legendaries and no set pieces and get these massive bonuses. Like there was reasons to build, and you would make multiple builds in a season depending on what dropped.
And you had the wardrobe where you could switch between builds.
And Hadrig's Gift, which guaranteed you a set if you completed some of the seasonal challenges.
Thing is, we said this before, but like all of this came after years and years and
Diablo
years.
4 had to get to that point. But the problem is Diablo 3 had to get to that point.
Yeah.
But Diablo 3 exists.
Yeah.
It's not like they said, Well, that's immutable. We can never take any of the concepts from this
No,
game.
we got to start from scratch, boys. This is
Absolutely.
how she goes. We gotta start fresh.
all
See this
Canadian?
baby in the bathwater? It all has to go
it's
out the
gotta
window.
go. We got to start fresh.
It's
Yeah, it's
very
weird.
frustrating.
It's
the
very
problem with
odd.
Diablo 4 is that Diablo 3 exists, and it's provably the better game, regardless of how many years it took to get there. It is right now the better and more fun game to play.
Yep.
And that is not good for Blizzard.
Yeah.
And I like this. I hadn't planned on bringing this up, but when we were trying to get into it and play it,
Destiny was having some serious connectivity issues.
were getting
and
DDoSed.
basically, yeah, and that's crazy that somebody was successfully DDoSing a major game. You know, if you did get in, there was a good chance you were going to get booted. So there's no reason to start anything on that day. I think they've addressed it, but anyway.
those were Midwest accents, not Canadian accents.
Yeah, pretty
They're-
much Fargo,
We're from Fargo, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
And Diablo,
very similar.
Diablo, okay, Mid-Ontarian and Fargo
Get some
are
darts and play some Diablo.
damn right, eh?
There's no A. There's just no A in any word.
Diablo 1 is still good, and you can get it on good old games, but it will only ever be a single kind of treadmill. There was no real depth. I mean, you were always looking for the random drops, but it doesn't have the legs that Diablo 3 had.
Yeah.
Diablo 3 is a game that you can really
The
sink.
problem, I think, with D4 was that they got frightened and kind of kowtowed to the toxic fans who just said Diablo 2 was the best game that's ever been made. Make that again, and they just kind of went, "We'll make that again," and they did.
I mean-
except now it's an open world.
Well, as a live service game, they got lots of time to fix it. in
Well, that's
theory.
it. I'm happy to let them try and fix
Yeah.
it, but they do absolutely need like a Loot 2.0 moment. They need they need something.
And it's going to take at least 6 months to implement that.
It was Dave Thomas and Rick Moranis, not John Candy and Rick Moranis.
That's
There we
correct.
go. Oh, no,
Hey,
no, look what you've done.
Do the live podcast team, eh?
Hey, yo, we're gonna get little baby mice and put them in the Mosin Canadians, eh?
No, stop. My entire childhood is coming back to me. You know what? You reminded me of something. And since you talked about the life support cycling seasons, as y'all know, and this isn't in the show notes, I'll put it in the show notes or somebody can put it in the show notes. Remember Marvel's Avengers?
Yes.
do.
Oh,
Oh.
it's on sale.
So it's on sale because it is being delisted
Yeah,
on
it got-
September 30th.
It's gone. If you don't
So,
buy it
like,
now,
yeah.
you will never buy
so
it.
it's on sale for like
$3.99.
a few bucks. It's I still maintain it is worth playing, particularly for $4. Get it. And it is.
We got to hit them hard.
Horde.
They're leaving the game in a pretty decent state.
Yes.
Because like it is all of the special
It's
events
running.
are cycling. The multiplayer still works as well.
Everything
as
is
it
going to
ever
be
did.
given to you. You log in, you get all the cosmetics, all the possible
Everything they ever put on the store is available for free.
Yeah.
things. So
So
I mean,
if-
And it's got a great story. The main story mode is complete.
Literally for the sake of $4, just the campaign alone.
the
is
Kamala
absolutely
story
worth
is fantastic. The Hawkeye story was fantastic. The multiplayer, when it hits, like when the stars align and everyone can get in the same game, is quite good.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's a missed opportunity, but it's still absolutely worth picking up for.
for sure.
If you don't buy it
literally-
now, you'll never get the chance.
I
is all it
just I
comes
looked
down
I
to.
saw it on my Steam list. I jumped in the other day. I played the mission and I had
It's
a
on
good time.
It's
Like,
on
it
my
was-
Steam Deck. I've got it
Well,
available.
I have to remember to buy it this week. I don't think I actually physically bought it.
It is
so
worth.
it's-
It is worth
$3.99.
owning.
Yeah.
But that's fantastic. I'm glad that they're giving it that last shot.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of there was another recent. I don't think it was Squeenix. I can't remember who made it, but a recent live service game, Wild Hearts, I want to say, basically got shot in the face by the company, and it had been out for a couple of months, 6 months, 9 months, and
Yeah.
they went, nope, we're done, and that game's gone forever now. As soon as I'm assuming it's not immediately been deleted, but once a live service game like that is taken offline, it's gone. Like you will never, if you have any nostalgia for playing that game, you will never get the opportunity to play that game again.
Don't talk to us about that. We played that Marvel game.
Look, that's it.
Oh,
and
Marvel-
you can't even have a
Marvel Heroes
shard.
Online.
You can't even have a shard of Marvel Heroes
I
Online.
think people are working on reverse engineering that.
So somebody that would be interesting, but I mean,
there have been attempts, but there's been nothing that's been successful.
Even ignoring the lures, the fact that City of Heroes has shards, like you can actually still play that.
So somebody got smuggled out like server code, and then people have been working.
And that's
on
what it takes. Somebody has to do something illegal for you to be able to keep any of these games alive.
If good old what's his name from Diablo, Brevik, yes, David Brevik. He should just release one of the versions of the server code to the internet and just let the community take it and run it.
Yeah,
we seem to be having connectivity issues. I apologize if you're having. I'm seeing like really big spikes.
Spiky spikes
might be okay now though. It's gone to green, so it's just. I apologize.
Momentary
Indies
lapse of
Keep
reason.
says that you've made him cry with the reference to City of Heroes.
Oh, sorry.
There are plenty of private servers.
You can play it. You can actively go and play it from scratch. There's lots of YouTube videos on how to do that.
In 2022, I played, I would say 15 hours of City of Heroes on one of these public servers.
Yeah, and they're doing, based on the videos I was watching, they've done some pretty amazing things on these servers and giving you flexibility that you would have never had.
Still
on the
best
game.
character creator in MMORPGs.
You can do a lot with it, but that's because again somebody had to steal it and somebody had to leak it. So. That's what we're trying to get people to do now for a lot of these titles.
We dropped a framer 20. I guess they noticed, but we should be good now.
Yeah, I think we're back now. Okay, next Destiny 2 exploit.
So we got to just briefly talk about this. I mean, if you haven't, I don't think it quite made the news, but in the community it
made the Destiny YouTuber news cycle, and it also was referenced in the This Week in Destiny blog.
So this works even if you don't play Destiny. So basically, somebody at some point in the recent past, they figured out an exploit that you could basically create a weapon that had abilities from other classes, is what it comes down to. So you could effectively turn an auto rifle into an auto rifle shotgun, which was the most effective one, really. So by doing this exploit, which was not easy to do, there's people that spend their lives looking for weird shit in games that
shout
break
out to
the
Cheese
game.
Forever.
Yeah, well, I don't think he invented. No, it was a Chinese Destiny player that did
first linked it, but Cheese Forever was the first person they'll show a workable.
Okay.
Like 70% of the time you could get it working. Method.
So obviously this is against the game's terms of service. Like you couldn't let people do this.
It's not a bannable offense, and Bungie said we won't ban you for doing this because this is a in-engine exploit. If you were running cheat engine to do this, then it would be a bannable offense.
All right, but even so, they could have easily they could have rolled back the game. That was one of the warnings. But what I'm trying to get to is that they took something that was it broke the game. Let me make this perfectly clear. These weapons made the game unplayable if you were going against them in PvP mode, and in PvE mode, it was making it very easy to murder raid bosses and things like that. So it would theoretically give you the ability to get stuff that you'd have to work a lot harder for. And Destiny said, Bungie went, all right, here's the thing. We know this exists.
We're going to work on getting it out.
We absolutely are working on deleting it. But in the meantime, have fun.
They turned off the reward for the PvP mode that weekend. It was supposed to be a hand cannon drop. They're like, yeah, you know what? It's all fucked up. We're not going to give this reward.
That was the only mode that they did that for, because this is a top tier weapon that's only supposed to be earnable if you're really, really good at the game. And they weren't willing to let you have that for free.
Yep.
But pretty much everything else, they said,
just have fun.
We're going to turn a blind eye to this. Do your thing, and then we're going to turn it off.
So full disclosure, I managed to make 3 different Frankenstein weapons. So it involved going on my PC and in the settings, limiting it to 30 frames a second. And also I had to start a big download in the background because network latency played a big part of this. So what you did was you started with your cursor on top of, like, the way the crafting interface is, there's multiple tabs, and in one tab there is shotguns. So you'd go down to shotguns and you'd mouse over this gun. And then you click on it, but you also hit the tab button, and then when you tab, it automatically puts you to auto rifles in the first tab. So you're clicking on shotguns, but you tab over to auto rifles, and then the click continues on the auto rifle, and if you do it right, it it thinks you've clicked on a shotgun, but it loads the auto rifle.
How did anybody find
This is the kind of shit these people do. These people do this shit for a living.
Apparently it's been in the game since weapon crafting. This
Right.
was apparently possible since they added it in the game in Witch Queen.
Yeah.
A full year ago.
And this is the kind of thing where if you were caught with it, Bungie would have lost their minds.
But so I was able to make an auto rifle that fired 5 of the lasers like it was a shotgun pellet spread, and it also would dump mag in a ridiculous amount of time. So it just did a ton of damage. And I also did a grenade launcher with the same thing. It would fire a cluster of 5 grenades. And then if that hit anything, including a wall, it would vaporize me. I killed myself a ton with it, but I will also just destroy bosses with it.
And it was amazing to witness. I mean, the videos of it are great. There's lots of videos online of people abusing the hell out of it. But again, it made for a very memorable weekend for people that played Destiny. Like even in the fact that they let it go in the PvP mode made things insane.
Yes. It was basically, if you pulled trigger first, you won.
Yeah, and it was unplayable for most people in that respect, but it made for a very memorable weekend.
We got to farm the Nightfall and get a couple of good rolls on that weapon.
Yeah. And I mean, if the same thing had happened in Call of Duty, they just would have shut everything down. They would have absolutely taken the whole game offline.
Oh, absolutely.
They wouldn't have done anything remotely close to that. But Destiny has this weird vibe to it where the creators and the community are on the same wavelength, and and Bungie was able to go, you know what, we know we're going to be able to fix this. Yes, the game is broken right now, but we're going to just say have fun. And again, this will be spoken of for years from anybody who played Destiny.
It was very much this is our bad as a development studio. We shouldn't have shipped weapon crafting like this, but y'all found it. It's out there now. We're going to. They band-aided it so it stopped working on Sunday.
Yeah, like a Sunday. We were playing as they were pushing
as they were
changing. And they were basically kicking you offline so that they would force you to get into the state where you updated and would do it. But again, and what's great again is that this week in Destiny, they got into the reeds about not only what the bug was, but how they fixed it in detail.
Yeah.
Like if you are a coder at all or any kind of
it was a
programmer,
post-mortem basically.
It was amazing. I mean, it went right over my head. But if you have any interest at all in coding or in game development, it was just an amazing experience to be able for them to share that with the world and say, here's where we screwed up, here's what we're doing to fix it, and here's exactly. And it's probably something that other coders can use in their own.
There used to be a website called Gamasutra, and they would have development postmortems on there from the actual teams saying, this is what we went through making this game, and this is what it was like. And it was very much like that, where they were really describing how they go about fixing something of this magnitude.
Yeah. It was anyway. I just wanted to get it out there that if you're interested at all in development, you should 100% look into this and look up the Bungie weekly blog, This Week in Destiny, and you'll find the information about about how they fixed this problem, and the fact that they said go nuts, it made for an incredibly memorable weekend as opposed to a Destiny free weekend, which is what any other game would have done, is just shut the servers down until they fix the problem. So anyway, I just wanted to get that in there in the discussion.
Good to know. All right, are we ready?
I'm ready.
Is it time?
I have.
I'm as ready as I'll ever be. I'm all out of drink, therefore it is time at long last. Our top 5 games of all time completes with my number 1.
Star Wars Galaxies.
No, I fear not. I played plenty of that. Don't get me wrong.
I will say
I got killed by a lizard a lot on the opening area, and I stopped playing.
I'm impressed that we haven't just constantly tried to guess each other's titles, because we'd be here all night.
I got EverQuest, and that was the pinnacle.
I'm since you said Neverwinter last time, I'm legitimately have no idea what you're going to say offhand. So it's a game you've discussed many times.
We have talked about this many times.
Okay.
So let's recap, shall we? The whole point of the top 5 list, and the reason that we limited it to 5 was so we would be forced to make difficult choices. Sure. Right? We would have to cut things, and also the kind of mandate that at least I wanted to bring forward for the top 5 list was these are not only games that we have enjoyed, but that have changed how we feel and how we look at video games.
Absolutely.
In a somewhat hackneyed phrase, it has opened the possibility space
Yep.
of what a video game could be. Now, if you look at my list so far, you'll notice some continuities in there. I like fantasy games. I like open world games, right? Both of those things have a single origin point. And they have a single origin point for all video games. And that is
Pong.
1980s
Oh,
Atari title
yep.
Adventure.
Interesting.
I was going to say Champions of Norath
No.
because it's action RPG and it's D&D.
Yeah, no. But
I've never played Adventure.
well, this is the thing. Dude, you played Adventure
That's a
on
lie.
our very
That's a
first
lie.
live
I
know,
stream.
I know.
So let's talk about Atari Adventure because it is. Oh, I actually got notes for this. I've never had notes for any of these. I got notes for this. Okay, so
It has ducks.
it's got ducks. What are dragons?
The dragons have names, and Kevin knows most of the dragon names.
Wow. Okay, I know Grundle. That's the green one, and Grindle, and I can't remember.
What starts with a Y?
Yorgle.
Yorgle.
There we go.
Yes.
We got all the dragons.
Yep.
They got to be it.
The dragons got names. So, okay. Oh, boy. There are so many firsts in Atari Adventure, it is kind of hard to wrap your head around. So what you have to do to understand the impact of Adventure is to kind of look at what video games were before Adventure. Because literally it changed absolutely everything about video games. So the very first thing it changed was the fact that it broke out of it being a single screen.
Yes.
So almost all video games up until that point had used kind of a board game model in that the screen was the board.
Pac-Man, Pong.
Think about all the other video
Space
games that were around at the
Invaders,
time. Everything,
Breakout.
you may have had multiple levels, but
Yes.
they all took place
On a single board.
self-contained on a single screen. Adventure was the very, very first graphical game that went, you start out in a place, you can go to another place, and then you can come back to that place. Very first time graphically that was ever done. Now, it was developed by a gentleman named Warren Robinette. And Warren Robinette was a very early programmer who had worked with some people, I think it was at MIT. There was a computer lab at MIT, and he played a game programmed by a friend of his that was at the time called Adventure, that has come to be known since as Colossal Cave Adventure. One of... Hey, Scarlett's got the links to the Frankie play.
There we go.
Very good. Thank you, Scarlett. I was hoping you would drag that up. Colossal Cave Adventure, one of the precursors of Zork.
Yes, it was the
FYI.
very first parsed text adventure.
Yep.
And I think I think either people that ended up going to Infocom worked on it or were inspired by it. I think both.
Yeah.
I think some of the people that worked on Colossal Cave Adventure went to Infocom.
So Warren Robinette played a very early edition of Colossal Cave Adventure, and it was one of those, galaxy brain moments where it really opened his eyes. And he went, I want to make a graphical interpretation of this. So he was working at Atari at the time, and he went and he made this game. Now, this was the thing. It was literally an open world. This is the very first time in video games that you could have a world that spanned several screens, that you could start in a place, go to another place, come back to that first place. So that was the very first thing. Now, you think about just that alone. Every single open world game that exists today has its bones in Adventure. Like, you do not have any of that without this. This is literally the moment where that starts.
The world state persists between deaths too, doesn't it? Like if you move the bridge, when you die, the bridge will be in a new spot. Or if the bat got the bridge.
So, there's so much to go over. Okay, so there was the first one, the first graphical open world game, period, of all. It was the first console fantasy game, period, of all. It was the first console action adventure game, and this is literally why we call the adventure game genre the adventure game genre. It's not named because we're going on an adventure. It's named
because it's like
after
adventure. Yep.
Like, that's why it's called that. That's how impactful this game was. And it was also the very first game to ever use Fog of War. When you go into those mazes, in Adventure, you've got the fog of war. You've
can only
got this
see
like it's a little
radius
sphere
around
around
you.
you
Yeah.
that you can't, and that no other graphical game had done that before. So many firsts.
It was the first game with an AI asshole with the bat.
And that's the thing. The world state persists between. It was the first game with an actual respawn.
Yep.
Where you could go, okay, I've died because the dragon ate me. A duck ate me. Yeah, the dragons looked like ducks. Okay, and even Warren acknowledged that.
And they will lock onto you across screens.
And it had multiple difficulty levels, and one of the difficulty levels was how fast the dragons attack. Right. So sometimes you could get away from the dragons, and other times you couldn't. And there were 3 dragons, and they had 3 different levels of difficulty. And some
you
were
could
slow,
kill
and
them.
some were fast, and you could kill them. That's what the sword was for. So there were also several.
You could equip things.
There were several objects in the game. So this is one of the remarkable things. So the Atari Video Computer System, as it was originally called,
VCS,
later known as the 2600, had 4K for the system and 128 bytes.
Yep.
For program variables. Period. That's it.
It just seems impossible.
Into that, Warren Robinett crammed a total of 30 rooms and 3 keys, 3 dragons, the chalice, the bridge, the magnet, the sword, and the bat, which were all movable sprites. The bat and the dragons have AI. They have a behavior. Unfucking believable. For that, 4K and 128 bytes of variables. Like, unbelievable.
The best was when the bat got the magnet, and then the magnet started pulling the sword away.
So, funny story. The magnet existed because it would be possible to embed an object in a wall that you could not then retrieve. So the magnet, he put the magnet in, and what the magnet does is it will attract any other object. So he put the magnet in there as a kind of fail-safe in case a player does accidentally embed something in a wall.
But the bat can pick up any object you can pick up, and if it grabs the magnet, it can drag things all over the place.
So I nominate the bat in Adventure for. There are some video game characters that will go down in legend as the most annoying video game characters of all time. There's the sun in the Super Mario Sunshine, I think it is. There is the dog in Duck Hunt.
Yep.
Famously.
Hey, listen.
No. They got nothing. They got nothing on the bat from Adventure. The bat is an asshole. The bat is an agent of chaos.
And I would ask you to go bowling.
Technically, the Adventure was a roguelike before Rogue existed.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, the world state doesn't reset.
No, but you have to play across multiple deaths.
You're right. So what happens is if you die and you choose to respawn, so if a dragon gets you and you choose to respawn, all of the objects stay where they were.
Yeah.
But the dragons respawn.
They're
Does this sound like a mechanic you've heard before? And Dark Souls?
Yeah.
Hello?
It was a roguelike before Rogue existed. So technically they should be adventure likes.
Yeah. No, it just unbelievable number of firsts.
A lot of the content had to be in the manual. Right.
So the story was written after the fact. He came up with the game first, and then he gave it to a writer, and the writer kind of came up with names and a backstory. And that was pretty much par for the course. Now, there's a whole other thing here because there is one more first, of course, in Adventure, and a lot of people know about this.
I'm pretty sure I know what it is.
It is the very first Easter egg
Yep.
ever in a video game.
Yeah, that came up a couple years ago.
And this is a really good story. So, Warren Robinett was kind of sick and tired of the model of how game development worked.
Well, game development was a person that would then submit a game to a bigger company to publish because it had to be on a cartridge. And so when you saw E.T. or you saw Pac-Man or you saw Adventure, it wasn't usually a large team of people. It was usually 1 or 2 people working on that game.
It would be very rare for more than one person to work on a game.
Yeah.
And your name didn't get involved. It was always just the company. That the publisher, this was the publisher's game. This wasn't, you had no royalties, you had no name.
It wasn't like Sid Meier's Civilization. It was Adventure by EA.
To know who made your video game would be like a weird concept at the time, right? And so Adventure hit, and it hit big. Like it sold 1 million cartridges. Unbelievable. Like Atari made bank
before the video game dropout.
This was huge. I mean, the whole video game crash thing, people blame it on ET. It didn't really happen because of ET.
They were trending towards it, but ET was the very visible failure.
ET was their bet to try and get out of it, and it failed. That's what that was. But anyway, but Atari was gigantic. Like we think of it now as like there are competing giants. There was no other company. Atari was it. Atari owned all video games. Like it was just Nintendo didn't exist yet. Like it was Nintendo existed, but they weren't doing video games yet.
Playing cards
and love hotels.
Yes.
Interestingly enough. Anyway, did you know that, kids? But Atari was just this absolute monster juggernaut and making money hand over fist.
And there was EA and Activision and places like that made software for it, but there was also the Atari first-party titles.
Not until later.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. Here's another fun story from all this. Because of the way that people were treated in just game development in general, and particularly at Atari, there were a whole bunch of programmers who just basically went, well, fuck this. We're going to do our own thing.
Yeah.
And made a company called Activision.
Yeah.
And they made Pitfall. And that was the very first Activision game.
The fact that they wouldn't even put your name... I'm looking at the manual for the game that had 8 pages in it. You would think the dude who made the game would have been mentioned in passing somewhere in this 8 pages. Nope.
So Warren Robinett himself tells the story, and I've watched him tell the story. It's really good. It's worth looking up on YouTube. So Warren Robinett got commissioned to make the game. He worked for a year. He made the game. He handed in the source code and quit. Walked away. And what they didn't know was that he left them a little present.
Mm-hmm.
So in the game, there is a very special room in the Black Cave, or the Black Castle.
Yep.
Where if you go into a very specific Fog of War maze, you can find a single pixel object embedded in a wall. Now, because of the memory limitations of the Atari, one of the ways he got around being able to have multiple sprites on screen, so multiple moving objects on screen, was, and I'm sorry to say, if you have photosensitivity, you probably don't want to try and play Adventure because a lot of things start flashing. So one of the ways you can get around the memory limitations is he would display an object on the screen in alternate frames.
Yep.
So you would show this object on one frame and this object in the other frame and this object in one frame and this object in another frame. And because of that, at 30 frames per second, they would flash, right? So the more objects you had on screen, the more things would flash because it had to use up more memory to draw the things in alternate frames. And he used this as a kind of exploit. He made a single pixel object that you could take into a very specific room at a very specific wall, and it's literally just a line that's a wall. And if you brought 2 other objects into that room, the wall would basically become permeable. It would flash so fast that you could pass through it. And if you did that and you passed through it and you had to do it by bringing this single pixel, and I don't know why that tickles me so much, but the fact that it's literally a single pixel, the object that you have to carry all the way through and get it to this room with 2 other objects, doesn't matter what the other objects are, and you can pass through the wall and then you enter a room, and in the room are the words created by Warren Robinett, and they did not find it until the cartridges got printed and went out. So
how would you even find it?
Somebody did. And there's a great collection called the Atari 50th Anniversary Collection by Digital Eclipse. You can get it on multiple platforms. I really recommend doing it, even if you're not going to play the games. It is literally a museum, an archival museum.
Same people who are doing that Karateka.
Yeah. So unbelievably good. And they have interviews with people who were there, and a lot of people have passed away, and a lot of the older generation are starting to leave us now. And so they've got as many people as they could to tell the story of how all these things were developed. It is a time capsule that is unbelievably valuable. It is so worth getting. Anyway, and they've got Warren Robinett on it talking about it. And there was literally a kid wrote a letter saying, I found this thing. And they couldn't believe it. They went hunting for it, and it became this urban legend of this thing that was an adventure. And eventually people started figuring out exactly how you go about getting it. And it became this community knowledge. Remember, no internet back then, so it just kind of disseminated through magazines and letters and fan clubs and just this knowledge of this weird thing that you could do in adventure, and it just became this like folk legend of this thing, and it's there. And the best thing of all is the quote from Warren Robinett that was in this collection, the 50th anniversary, where he said they could keep my name off the box, but they couldn't keep my name off the screen.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So anyway,
there were several VCSs at the Retro Computer Show this weekend.
excellent. Good
Yeah.
to know.
So you had the game for the Atari.
I had it for the original Atari video computer system. I didn't even hear the words 2600 until much later. For me, it was always just the Atari. So yeah, and I got that thing home, and it was literally just looking at the box was something like, oh, hang on, this is something's different.
Early
here, right?
video game box art promised things that couldn't possibly be inside. Commodore 64 box art especially. Like Breakout had this guy in a spacesuit looking intense, and there were blocks behind him, and I'm like, my God, what is this? Oh, I'm a paddle. I'm a paddle, and there's a ball. Oh, I used to love that.
But yeah, so I took the thing home, plugged it in, and it was like this fundamentally changed the way I saw what a video game could be. Like, it wasn't a single screen anymore. There was literally an entire world out there you could go and explore. And that was the thing. Like, there was no such thing as exploration in a video game before.
And the
this,
item
right?
spawn points are random, right?
So it depends on which difficulty you're on.
But
if
like,
you're on the easiest,
they're always in the
second,
same places.
They're always in the same places. But in the third, the highest difficulty, they randomize every time,
which is amazing. Like it's a game that has replayability in it.
And that's kind of the final point I want to come to is like when you go back and you play particularly the early Atari games. As we know, because on the very first Operation Puppet live stream, we played Adventure and several other Atari games. And I will say that like most of them do not hold up. There is very little fun. There's very little comprehension in any of them.
Yeah.
I would say that Adventure, you can still have fun. And I did a Frankie Play stream a while ago, a couple of years ago, where I played Adventure. And it is genuine. I played it today to get ready for this.
Nice.
And there is still, like, you can still have fun with Adventure. You can still find because of the randomness.
Because of the bat.
Literally, the bat, although hated, brings the fun because like you're fighting this agent of chaos the entire time.
The
like,
best is you're fighting a dragon and the bat goes by dragging a bridge. You're like, I need that.
But it could also work to your advantage.
Yes.
Like sometimes, I'm like, oh my God, I can't fight this thing. The bat flies by with the sword and kills the dragon.
Yes.
As it's flying by.
That's the great thing is the sword is indiscriminate. If the sword touches a dragon with the point, I believe, it will kill the dragon so that the bat can actually fly by and kill the dragon with the sword.
Yeah.
So assuming that it was $30 when it came out, that would have been $111 today.
See? When we say that video games are not actually overpriced, kids, this is what we mean.
They're getting back to where they're supposed to be, basically.
Absolutely.
$90 for a AAA.
But yeah, so there we go.
So there's a couple collections out there. There's the physical Atari box that's got a bunch of games built into it. There are Atari packs that will have this in it.
Still have the cartridge?
I do not still have the cartridge, no. But I own it on several collections.
Yeah, but
there's an online version. You can play it in a web browser now. Like,
did you make a bad decision in your teens?
I have no idea what happened.
It's just gone.
It's gone. Yeah. It's mists of amnesia.
Our 2600 cooked. Someone left it on inside the cupboard it was kept in, and it cooked itself. Well, there's not a ton inside of VCS.
No.
And the video
lovely
segment,
wood grain finish, though.
Yes, the video segment is especially prone to dying.
Yeah.
Although they're not horrible to fix, the custom chip is getting to be hen's teeth.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's definitely getting getting up there.
They're hard to get in getting one of these little boxes that have the games built into it is by far the best way to play it.
Yeah.
Because the VCS outputting onto anything modern, it always looks like garbage.
I will say,
some mod kits.
for some of you can get these like, you can buy like a joystick that's got, like 25. A lot of those, they actually have a different version of the original code in it where they actually stripped out the text for
just
the
to be
Easter
an
egg.
asshole. Just to be an asshole.
Don't get those. Get the. I'm happy to say the 50th anniversary edition one does have the original Easter egg in it. So.
You can get it all kind of over the place. Like you say, you can play in a browser. There are ROMs. There are whole 2600 emulators.
You have to remember, it was 1980 when this came out.
It was started to be developed in 78.
I'm saying if you're playing it today,
the Atari.
just put yourself in that headspace.
The Atari emulator is called Vice, I believe.
Vice
is C64. It's Stella. Stella is the Atari 2600 emulator.
And that's the thing. Like we tried to play with Yar's Revenge. Remember? And that was just a baffling. Like, we didn't know what was going on. Like,
most Atari games.
That was a lot of them.
I'll be honest. If I did try to play Adventure when I was a kid, I immediately quit.
Yeah.
If I did even try to play it, I immediately said, I don't know what's happening here. I didn't have a manual probably. I would have just bought the cartridge loose at a yard sale or something, and I just went nope, and just went back to the ColecoVision.
What's the name of the guy who Brutal Legend?
Oh, Tim Schafer.
Tim Schafer is on the
50th anniversary.
Talking about Adventure, and he says exactly that. He was like, I didn't read the manual. I just plugged the thing in and went. And the thing is, he loved that.
Yeah,
he
got
loved
into
the
it.
fact that he was like, I have
figured
no
it out.
idea what's
I
going on.
immediately
It's
checked
just
it.
like, I'm baffled. I have no idea.
With nope, it's gone.
Okay.
No, Adventure is like where games really start.
This is the thing. Like we cannot appreciate just the amount of innovation that was in Adventure. Like because literally everything we play is like that now.
But it took a whole generation before anybody else even tried to do something like that. Now, having said that, what I was just trying to remember, I think it was Activision. Somebody else did a similar game on the 2600, which was a lot more advanced. Yeah, and they tried to make a contest out of it. Do you remember this?
Sword Quest.
Sword Quest.
Yes.
I can tell you about Sword Quest.
Yes.
So Sword Quest is actually related to Adventure.
Yes.
So they were talking about a sequel to Adventure that never actually happened. It did subsequently get written in a kind of fan way and got released by like an Atari fan club, and that became Adventure 2.
There were actual cartridges manufactured for the first two.
No.
Fire and something.
For Sword Quest, there were 3.
Yeah, I know, but the first two got made,
the first
and then
two
one
got
didn't.
made. The third one did not get made, but there were design specs for it. I don't know if you know this, but in the Atari 50th anniversary collection,
they
finished it.
Yeah,
they actually completed Sword Quest. I guess
you're supposed to be able to win
a
crown worth $1,080
$1980
or something like that.
But that was part of the appeal of it, was they tried to make a real world element to playing to finishing the game. You had to prove that you had finished it, like take a picture of the screen kind of thing.
Yeah.
In 1982 or 83 at this point. But that was one of the only titles I remember building off of Adventure and trying to be a little more graphically intensive. I mean, it definitely looked better, but
the Sword Quest series was built on the Adventure code.
And it was 2600.
Yeah.
I think it was Atari.
It was.
It was their internal.
It was literally the code from Adventure that they.
So it definitely was.
Yeah, it is in the lineage of Adventure. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So there we go. That's it. I mean, I can't. There has been no moment in my playing of video games that has fundamentally changed what I knew and could perceive of video games as being more than the first time I played Adventure, and I realized, oh my God, this is an entire world. And more than that, and this is something that persists today, that the characters and the things that are happening on the screen had a life beyond me, right? Like literally, and this was another first for video games, the bat and the dragons, they move around and do stuff even when you're not looking. Like
you can come across a dead dragon if the bat kills it with a sword off screen.
and just that, the sense of a living world that was out there that I wasn't there scripted for me. That was a really unique feeling, and I still have that today. That's one of the reasons I play MMOs, is because I know that the world is out there and it's living.
It's persistent.
Exactly. So many firsts, so many unbelievably revolutionary ideas that trickle down even today. So,
did we step on our numbers at all?
No one had an
We have
overlap.
15 titles in our top 5 games.
Nobody.
That's crazy. I thought for sure we'd have
That's
one.
great. That's perfect.
That's great.
I thought for sure one of us would have Doom.
Nah. Doom was an ass-kicking game.
You had a Quake, right?
I had Quake because it was the first-person shooter I can actually play without getting a mind-bending headache.
No, I mean for the moments, like I think I mentioned it during the Quake one, where like when you walk into that, like, oh, there's the key card. When you walk in Doom, you walk up and there's a key card at the end of the hallway, and you're like, doot 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 doot, and you grab the key card, and the lights go out, and all the doors open, and if you're playing the game in stereo, you heard coming from both sides, and you shit your pants the first time.
Scarlett says we should mention how great Minecraft is, or shout out Scarlett.
Well, both. I guess Minecraft. I've only played Minecraft minorly, so
I play Minecraft, but not like other people do. I choose interesting looking mountains and I turn them into glass.
Okay, well, that's
my zen.
Strangely demiurgic, but you know,
I have to set up a whole glass processing system. I have an actual machine that makes glass and puts it in a chest. And then I go by and I remove 1 cube of the outside. I hollow out as much of the mountain as I can. And I take 1 cube of the outside and I replace it with a block of glass. And I just keep doing this. And I try to keep the lakes that appear on it. I try to keep everything I can on it. And in the end, you have these really surreal-looking, hollow glass mountains.
All right, Glass Mountains is a prog rock album.
Built in the fractal design of the game engine.
Nice.
And that's my zen is going through and glassing mountains.
Okay,
fair enough.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, what do we do now that our top 5 are
You
over?
had mentioned that we should talk about maybe games that didn't make the list that affected us, but maybe aren't in a numerical list, like just games that are important to
formative
us.
games.
So,
or even games that you think like you like, but it's not something you would say like, oh, this is in the top 100 of favorite games. And
so I think that's the whole thing. One of the things that I've always wanted to do with this podcast is like at least throw in positive stuff, because so many of the gamer podcasts are like, I'm angry about this.
Yeah.
And sure, we get angry about stuff, but I also want to make part of this at least a celebration of all of these things. So we're just going to talk about a game that we love. That's, I think, it. And we're going to keep the same order, because we've already got an order, so we might as well keep it. And there's no ranking from here on out. It's just like, pick a game that you really like and let's talk about it. That's going to be it.
if we have the space in a podcast, we take it, and if not, we push it to another week.
There you go.
I think it's good. So Andrew, start thinking about a game that you like that
Hopefully, Fortnite.
And Scarlett says when they're on the pod, we can ask them what their favorite games are.
Absolutely. Now that's another thing that's coming up. We will have guests at some point. I promise you, it's in the works. There are so many.
I mean, there's a certain puppeteer or puppet maker you should be feuding with that we should have on the podcast.
We absolutely will. I don't know. Tom said he may drop by. I don't know if he's.
I don't know. I haven't seen him come through the chat. I saw Andre did, and I didn't get to shout him out because we were talking about something. But
sorry, Andre, if you're still around.
I hope they're still around. They posted something in the Discord, I think. I didn't get the shout out.
You guys are much uglier than I expected. I'm out.
Hey, look at me. Come on.
Except for Dapper Dan.
I'm wearing
over
a
here.
tie. Come on.
Dapper freaking Dan over here.
Right. Anyway, I think that will do it for us. This was relatively efficient.
She's tight.
We did good.
So are we gonna run the outro and then chat with the chat for a little bit?
We'll probably do that. Okay, so thank you for listening. As always, shout out Scarlett. Thanks for everybody who has been here on the very first and probably not last live
Shout out to
stream.
Indies Keep.
Shout out Indies Keep. Shout out Scarlett. Shout out everybody who's been here in the chat. And I guess your finger on the button.
Yep.
Okay, we will catch you next time. You have been listening to Pixels and Puppets, the Operation Puppet podcast. Visit www.operationpuppet.com for all our links. Tell your friends, give us a rating wherever you get your podcasts, and join us again because nothing is more entertaining than aging nerds giving their opinions on the internet.
We're aging nerds.
There we go. We are aging nerds. Hey,
Are they gone?
We're still going. We're still going on the live stream. We got a new fan, Northern Lights. Thank you, Northern Lights.
Hey,
Shout out to the
Northern Lights.
Patreon fans. Wait, no, we don't have
We
Patreon.
don't actually have a Patreon. No, not yet at least. Hey. Yeah, so wow. We did it. That's
Yeah,
it.
it was a live stream podcast.
We had,
I hope it looks
we had
good.
a couple of big spikes. I got the lighting is bugging me. It's like because we got
Side lights.
just bad. It's bad.
We whip something up.
bad. Look at this. Look at these. We can do shadow puppets.
Yeah.
Look, I could,
It would require a lot
shadow
of
puppets
work.
would be on brand at least.
We'd need if we did this
Yeah, it's
right,
true.
we'd need more lighting, we need multiple cameras, we need somebody to actually do all the editing and the cutting live.
Hang on, wait. Oh, okay,
I'm just saying.
I can do that.
We could add.
I mean,
we
we
have
need
to bring people.
We need
in.
a Stream Deck or Steam Deck, and we need
I actually have two stream. I didn't bother using either of them. 'Cause
we
I go,
need
we
like
have
a ETM, and then we need like
like a road
a GoPro on a little tripod.
roadcaster.
all those things I have over there.
We need like the tabletop setup with the overhead cams, so we can play Dungeons and Dragons while we podcast.
Oh my god!
You remember
You
that?
know.
Remember that setup?
Yeah, I really actually do because it still exists. And I
Cutting
use it
edge.
every freaking week.
Cutting
I loved it.
edge.
It was good. I mean, it's no, they're not up there anymore. There used to be the Dungeons and Dragons games just up there.
Yeah, well, they still exist. I still got them.
Yes.
It's
But
fine.
I just they
Don't
used
worry.
to be right there
Maybe
staring at me.
maybe that if we ever do more video live streamings, maybe we'll do some board game streaming.
Yeah.
We could actually get some board games into the
Pixels and
tokens
Pucks.
section.
Now time for Pixel Tokens, where we play an hour of a board game.
I'm sure people will want to watch that on the internet.
Why do we need 8 Wiis, Scarlett? That's too many Wiis.
That's,
One Wii is too much because you can emulate it.
it's true.
Like wait, where is it?
Oh no. JB's got props. This is something that the podcast
This.
listeners will. Look, there we go.
This can emulate a Wii like better than a Wii.
You've got the Batman armor on it.
Yeah,
There.
it looks like the front of a Jeep.
Does
And you can see my Hosaka sticker on it.
Hosaka Onosende Cyberspace 7.
That's right.
We didn't talk about Cyberpunk at all, actually. We
yeah,
probably
we
should.
I
Yes.
haven't played any of the new patch. I've got it
yeah?
installed.
Gives an excuse to. We talk next week.
But I do need. I'm going to start a new game, and
Yeah, I'm going to
really
start a
dig into it.
game and actually play it.
That's probably the best choice. I said this to Jamie earlier on the Discord, but like I'll load up an old save because the 2.0 patch dropped. I loaded up an old save and I got in like, well, okay, well I got to race back. I'll race back, and it was like,
I think
Okay,
I think it's easier
get
when
it,
you
but,
when and the thing is when the DLC comes out, you have the option of starting a character at the DLC spot.
Yes.
So they'll bring you up to that point if you just want to do the DLC stuff. But I want to take another swing through Night City.
I
with
kept
the
putting
new,
it aside and putting it aside because of the issues, and then they fixed almost everything and it's stable, and I just never got around to playing it. And then they announced this 2.0. I'm like, well, I gotta wait for 2.0 to hit.
It's
But,
such a good, like Night City, for all its flaws, is such a good representation of that Bill Gibson endgame. Like humanity is so dense, and like we're clearly in the end times, and like now.
And it's techno.
I think one of the problems with my perception of how they presented Night City at first, and then what I eventually kind of understood was like it really is a dehumanized dystopia, and they went for that, and they succeeded. And the problem is that what they didn't kind of project was like you're spending 60 hours in that.
Yeah.
And that's
It's a
tough.
little draining.
It's kind of tough. It really
Yeah.
kind of is. Like it's
Yeah, you generally playing any of those kinds of games can be a little draining in that in a world where it's painful.
Indies keep
Northern Lights is still in EverQuest 1. Listen, You got to go back and listen to our top 5 list because I talk about EverQuest quite a lot.
I guessed that his number 3 was EverQuest, and it was a proud moment of mine.
I got a lot of hours in EverQuest. Let me tell you.
Indies Keep. It's a good time to get into Cyberpunk, even if you just get the base game, because 2.0 is supposed to change a lot.
There is a discount if you get the expansion and the game together.
And also I would wait because there's going to be a big Starfield update coming. But I would wait for maybe one more big update because I think they've just got some jank to shake.
Like an
out
actual
of it.
There's lots of Bethesda jank.
1.1 will be nice.
But they're going to be adding not DLSS. Is that the
yeah,
video one? They're going to be adding
one.
DLSS and HDR and another couple things in this upcoming patch. But they've got a roadmap and there's a lot of stuff they want to hit.
I installed it on my system because I wanted to see how well it would play on the 6900 XT. It runs great.
Yep.
But it's a 5600X with a 6900 XT, and I was playing it in 21:9, and it filled the whole widescreen, which was beautiful.
Did you steal a lizard woman's ship?
I only just did the first. I did the setup. I got on the ship and left, and that was pretty much it. And I just, like I said, I just wanted to get it just to see how it would run. Mm-hmm. There was a weird ghosting issue, like the shadow of the character, like the outline of the character was like away from the character.
I have not gotten that on the Xbox.
So I didn't try to update it. So I'm guessing
that almost sounds like an FSR artifact.
Yeah,
it sounds
it's weird. It's weird. Anyway, I didn't bother putting any effort into fixing it. I just thought it was
Indie says they have lip sync issues. I've only ever noticed the lip sync is extremely good on the Xbox at least.
Yeah. It's jank. It's more stable than like Fallout 76 was by any stretch.
Listen, seeing somebody fill their cockpit with 10,000 potatoes and then the fluid animations of the doors opening and potatoes cascading out, and then the doors actually pushing them out of the way as they close.
Todd Howard would not sleep until those potatoes roll.
They have jank in the game, but when they emulate or when they simulate a potato avalanche, it is chef's kiss.
Mm-hmm. I guess the story now is that you're being followed by people. Like characters will follow you around, and I guess that's accelerated to the point where not just characters, but like asteroids will follow you around, like literally follow your ship.
I saw somebody put like a whole city.
Somebody had the entire city of New Atlantis in space behind them.
What?
So little jank.
Little jank.
It could have been a bad mod too. That's the other thing is the PC version. Of course, people are already running mods on it. So that's gonna break.
Official mod support will be interesting.
Yeah, and tricky to really to support.
All right, you know what? I think we should probably end this because we got to let Scarlett go to bed.
It's true.
Scarlett, go shout out to you and go to bed.
Extra special shout out to Scarlett for staying up
post podcast shout out. This has never happened before.
It's true.
No. Well, we have. Just nobody ever hears.
There's been stream ones.
And
there's been podcast.
We just sit around in absolute silence, raise a glass, and go shout out to Scarlett.
Shout out to Scarlett.
In sync.
No, they can hear us.
Okay.
Well.
Thank you, everybody. This has been a pleasure. We will see about doing more of these because there's a surprising number of people here.
Oh, good.
Just,
I'm pleased. Thank you very much.
Just for the people who stuck around, here's a little hit of our music.
Here we go.